You know what, Jamie? Let's pop off right now. We got to get started.
We gotta go.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's get the people in the chat. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IRSportsDaily.com. I'm your host, Greg Flamong, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uwayama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Thursday. Oh, what is it, October 5th? October 5th, Jamie, and we're going to preview Notre Dame versus Louisville. That's taking place on Saturday, the 25th ranked Louisville Cardinals, and we're going to talk about that game. We're going to talk about some things that Marcus Freeman just said in his press conference availability for some offensive skill players, and it's going to, I think, give a big boost to Notre Dame offense going into this game. And then we're going to preview the game at large and talk about the offense and, you know, whether they can get back on track. It's been a tough couple of weeks for them in terms of efficiency and putting points on the board. So thank you for everyone for tuning in. If this is your first time catching us, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so you know that we're going live. Links to the podcast are in the description below if you're looking for us on Apple or Spotify. And I have also linked Jamie's 6 Thoughts on a Thursday, always a great column. So that is also in the description below. So check that out as well. Free article. Jamie, do you know how much it costs to sign up for Irish Sports Daily? I know that you do, but I'm asking as if
it's $9. I believe it's $9.99 a month.
It's $10 a month, Jamie.
Yeah.
You're stealing. You're stealing it. I don't know why Mike does that. You're stealing the great information that Notre Dame has, that Irish Sports Daily is putting out on Notre Dame football team. So look, it's a great time to sign up for Irish Sports Daily. Go to the website. There's a subscription button. Click on that and sign up. $10 a month. It's all good stuff. Jamie's killing it on all of his feature articles, previews, game previews, instant analysis. Anytime a recruit commits, film don't lie. It's all good stuff. So check out irsportsdaily.com. And another thing you're going to want to do while you're doing that is head over to ESQclothing.com, where Ga Wang, Florida Notre Dame alum, has created the world's first bamboo dress shirt. And it's crafted from high-quality bamboo fabric. It's the softest and most comfortable shirt you'll ever put on. Not only more sustainable than cotton, also feels cooler, has stretch, is odor and wrinkle-resistant, and even machine washable. So what you do, Jamie, this is what you should do. I just, great idea came to me right now. You take the money that you're saving on dry cleaning, and you put it toward IRSportsDaily.com. $10 a month.
There you go.
You take the savings, you put it somewhere else. You can take the savings on getting 15% off all online items. You've seen ESQ's one-piece collar bamboo dress shirt on all of Notre Dame's top players and coaches, and it's a perfect shirt for today's business meeting or heading for a night out. Use ISD 15 and get 50% off all online items. That's ISD 15 for 15% off all online items. We're saving you money all over the place. So put it towards a good website. That's my great idea. And before we get going, Mr. Jamie, I want to plug something that's coming out tomorrow. I had the great opportunity to talk to Notre Dame women's head basketball coach, Neil Ivey, to previewing the team. And I think it's going to be, just based on our conversation, Jamie, it's going to be a very exciting team to watch. They're going to be up and down. They added 3-point shooting. There's going to be a lot. They're going to be bombing from all over the place. And the Hannah Hidalgo situation, like, look, you know how it is, Jamie.
Like little Steph Curry, man.
What? You know how when you talk to a coach about a freshman, incoming freshman who hasn't played yet, you know, and you think, all right, I'm going to ask her about this player, and they're going to kind of temper expectations, right? Like, oh, you know, we got to work her in and stuff. I mean, no, that's not what happened. She dropped the Skylar Diggins comp on, like, just on the show. I was like, wow, okay. Like, if that's where we're going, she's just like offense, defense, straight up dog defensively. So check that out tomorrow. That's going to be out tomorrow morning. Very excited for everyone.
I'm excited to listen to it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. CFB Hertz, thank you for the super chat. He didn't mean to steal. He's because CFB Hertz is on the Irish Sports Daily website. He's a member over there, so he's part of Steely, and he's given some money back as well. So I really appreciate that. Mitchell, we're going to get to the Junior Tuliamaka and Josh Burnham question when we get into the show. And so Marcus Freeman now speaking to the media. Jaden Greathouse, Jaden Thomas, and Eli Raridan are all going to be activated for the game against Louisville. Jamie, just right off the bat, what does that mean? Let's talk about Eli Raridan first, because he hasn't been seen at all. What do you think we're going to see from him? What can he give to the football team this weekend?
Well, I think, Jared Parker mentioned what it gives right away is he's another inline Y, right? He's a guy who's going to play in line. They've obviously played Cooper Flanagan there, and I think Flanagan's done a pretty good job. Like when he's in there, shockingly good for a true freshman. But he's a guy who can do that and play there. So I think it can lessen the load on Mitchell Evans in terms of what he does, in terms of some of the stuff with him in the run game. He's got to play a lot of plays, and obviously they want him out there, but people saw that he was, hobbling a little bit. Might be nice to give him a little bit of a breather at some point. And, Stays is obviously a different player than Evans, and Raridan is his fit in the offense is more of what Evans does. So because of that, so that's what it does is it gives more depth there. Could possibly play a bit there. And I think people have heard us and other people on ISD. They've heard a ton of people in the Notre Dame be kind of raving about how good Eli Raridan looks. Like physically, the guy looks fantastic. People will see it when he's out on the field. And he's a heck of an athlete. He's a big time athlete. So I think it's kind of a little bit where with Mitchell Evans, where people were didn't really realize until he got featured. And then it's okay, this is what Evans can do. And Raridan has that kind of potential too. It doesn't mean that he's going to do that right away. I think it'd be hard to expect that from him, but don't be surprised at all if they find a way to kind of feature him and they'll call a play specifically for him. I think they would probably do that in this game. And I was just mentioning to you, Greg, before we went on air, it's and then if he goes out and he makes a play, then they might throw it to him again. And that's kind of where it's at. But now I think what it does is it gives Notre Dame 3 tight ends that are going to, can all play, can all do damage in the passing game. You lose Michael Mayer, and Michael Mayer, obviously, arguably the greatest receiving tight end for sure in Notre Dame history, one of the best, definitely. And it's a long list, and Notre Dame's still loaded. They're loaded at the position. So I'm really excited to see Raridan play, and happy that he's healthy and cleared.
Yeah. It'll be interesting, right? He was, I think, like you said, there's been a lot of, I don't want to say hype. People have noticed it, right? He's performed well in practice. And so people have taken notice of that. He looks good. He looked good last year in limited minutes. So it'll be interesting to track his participation and, how much he gets into the game. Speaking of tracking participation, Nolan Ziegler is on the travel squad, Jamie. So he's going to suit up, and he's going to be a part of that. That would be very surprising if he got in the game, just considering he hadn't been around the team that much. He's just started coming around the team. I think the fact that
I don't think he's going to play. I think
I just think that I agree. I don't see that happening. We've been surprised before, but I don't see that. But just the fact that he's around the team,
would have to happen for him to play.
He's around the team. He's involved. He's going to go through warmups and all that stuff, and
kind
of get back into it. Kind of get back into it. It's great to see that he's back with the team and everything's on the up and up there. Marcus Freeman announced that Josh Burnham and Junior Tuliamaka are basically going to split reps. I think Burnham's going to be the one to go out on the first series. and Julian Tuihalamaka and them, they're going to split reps while Jordan Botelho serves his suspension. Big opportunity for those guys, obviously. What do you think? How much of a threat are those guys to like really cutting into Jordan Botelho's minutes? Like probably especially Josh Burnham. I feel like because they're going to ask him, he's going to be the pass rusher. You know, when you come in the game, I think Junior's a run stopper guy. So how much of a threat could they be to Jordan Botelho's minutes just going forward?
I mean, I think you got to just take advantage of that opportunity, right? And the one thing that we've seen with Burnham is that he's always noticeable out there because he's always making tackles. He's always kind of involved with play, kind of similar to Jack Kaiser a little bit. It's like when Jack Kaiser plays, he does really well to take advantage of his opportunities. Like there's some stuff that he can't do, but the stuff that he does well, he does it at a high level and he's involved. He's a good tackler. He's just someone who's always involved. And I think with Burnham, it's a little bit similar where he's always, I mean, the guy's got a great motor. I mean, we've seen him make a ton of plays from the backside, chasing stuff down. You know, that's something that it takes a kind of a special athlete to do that from that edge spot. So you see that from him. I think there is a big opportunity in this game for both those guys. One, because of what, Louisville does in terms of some of their play action stuff, where they will use a tight end in max protect and block a D end.
Yeah.
And that's a matchup the Viper has to win. And the D ends in general have been winning that against Louisville's tight ends. So they're going to get a chance to maybe get, sacks and pressures in this game based on a lot of that play action stuff. They're about a 40% play action team. So that's something to kind of monitor in this game. And both those guys have to play really, really well against the run because I think, Marcus Freeman mentioned it too. If Notre Dame can make them a one-dimensional team, and that's what NC State did, right? Like Jawar Jordan had 16 carries for 32 yards. Like he had nothing in the whole game. He did have one big explosive reception, but he had nothing in the run game. That's massive because they're an offense that's had a ton of early down success. And when they have early down success run the football, that's when they hit you with play action. And that's when the safety starts creeping up, and that's when they can do all that stuff. So the front is going to have to be big in this game. Jawar Jordan is not a tackle breaker, but he's a home run threat. He's got 3 touchdowns over 70 yards this year, right? So he did absolutely nothing in the Georgia Tech game, the entire game, until he broke like a 74-yard touchdown, right? So that's the kind of guy he is. Where one thing where you get reached, you don't squeeze the tackle down enough into your gap, like. Those are going to be critical things for the Viper in this game.
Chris Wojak, thank you for the super chat. No question. Just want to say I appreciate the job you guys do. Really appreciate that. That's very nice. Man. Thank you, Chris. Let's get into the preview then. Joe Bro's asking the keys to the game. People are itching to find out about the Louisville Cardinals, Jamie. So we can kind of blend that into wide receiver discussion too, because I think one of the biggest parts of this game, I think, just kind of aside from the outcome and the way that it goes, is can the offense find its footing again, right? Where it's just like the last 2 weeks have been kind of a slog from an efficiency standpoint, from obviously completing drives and finishing drives standpoint. On third downs, I looked up a stat, Jamie, against Navy, Tennessee State, and Central Michigan. Notre Dame's 19 of 30 on third down, 64%, and against NC State, Ohio State, and Duke, 13 of 39, which is 33%. So obviously, it's like bottom of the nation right there. Like you don't want to be there. Notre Dame needs to do better there. They're getting back the Jaden Greathouse and Jaden Thomas. Do you think this is a good game for Notre Dame to kind of get back to what they were in the previous games? Obviously, Duke and Ohio State are of different caliber of defenses, and even NC State as compared to Louisville. So do you think this is a good game Yeah. So do you think this is a good game for Notre Dame to kind of get back on footing, get back on track offensively?
I really think it is. I think one of the things in the Ohio State and Duke games, their defensive tackles really were impactful in both those games. Those guys won a lot inside against Notre Dame's guards and Zeke Correll. So I don't think Louisville's interior of their line is anywhere close to that. In fact, they're like quite a bit smaller. They're all like kind of like 6'1", 6'2", 290-ish guys. So like Howard Cross but not nearly on the level of Howard Cross as a player, and not like that, not even close, right? So it's like a bunch of those guys. And it's kind of where Notre Dame was a little bit last year, where they were just undersized, and that was a thing that hurt them, right? So that's something to monitor in this game, where I think that Notre Dame is going to win more of those matchups inside. I think, Louisville has it's a portal team, right? It's a portal team where they have so many new faces. So they have and it's like a new staff and stuff in addition to that, right? Like Jeff Brom took over the program, but then it's like in the defensive side of the ball, it's Ron English is the co-defensive coordinator, and they have like a ton of new guys in the secondary, and it's just like a mishmash where they just have too many mistakes. They have too many busts, too many like kind of missed tackles that lead to stuff. The linebackers aren't great. They're like back seven isn't what anywhere close to Duke or Ohio State. It's just not. It's not even comparable. They have a pretty good corners, and they've got guys who have pretty good ball production, but just overall, there's just too many busts. There's too many busts, especially specifically at the safety position. So they're 122nd in explosive passing plays against. So this is the kind of game where if Notre Dame isn't creating big plays in the passing game, that's a big red flag going forward, where you have to kind of be able to find that, and whether it's scheming it up or guys winning, one-on-one, that has to happen in this game. So that's why it's big to have, Thomas, Greathouse, all these guys back. Could you get still similar kind of production? I don't know if you're going to have the exact same kind of game from Mitchell Evans, but you got to have plays. He's got to make plays in this game too, right? Especially down the seam, right? Because I don't think they're going to be able to match up well with him. So that's something that's going to be big too. So I just think that this game, you don't want to get into a situation where if Notre Dame isn't having early down success. By the way, I just saw like at the war Parker Fleming on Twitter just shared.
I also just saw that. I was going to reference it.
Where they're third and early down success, right? So
Louisville's fifth, by the way.
Yeah, or seventh. They're seventh, but
seventh. Sorry about that.
Yeah, they're seventh. So that is something that is going to be huge in this game, because if it's third and long, and it was third and long way too much against Duke, they're going to be in big trouble, because they have really good edge rushers, and they're just going to sit back and play coverage. And frankly, Notre Dame hasn't been great when teams just are able to get pressure with four and, just they sit back and play coverage. They haven't been able to find like a rhythm there. And whether it's just what they're running scheme wise, whether or not like Hartman's not seeing stuff right away, it's been tougher. It's been tougher for them. So early down success is going to be huge. Being able to run the football is going to be huge. And then just hitting those explosives, like you got to have those explosives in this game.
Yeah. I think we're going to see teams kind of try to scheme Mitchell Evans out of the game. It's just like you have to, right? Like he beat Duke. I mean, for lack of a better way to put it, I mean, the way that he played, it won in the game. And I think they're going to try to take him out. And I think that's when he plays next to Chris Tyree a lot. That's when you got to find a way to get Chris Tyree, get the defense in conflict, right? Like we are going to, we're going to give you Mitchell Evans here, and you need to decide whether you're going to go to him or the slot, or you have to give up something with the slot in order to, kind of double or bracket Mitchell Evans. And that's when you have to take advantage of opportunities. That's where it helps to have Jaden Greathouse back, because he's a good player for that. And I think it really helps them just having Jaden Thomas back to, get everyone into their natural positions, right? You get Tobias off the boundary, you get him into the field where he's comfortable playing, where he's usually playing. And then you kind of give Sam Hartman a little bit more of a security blanket there with having Jaden Thomas. That's what he's used to. Having him there, like, that really helps the passing game. And then also that opens up the running game as well. Jamie, people are asking just all over, right? Whether it's on the board or whether it's on Twitter, just about what Notre Dame can do to create explosives. And I think the stock answer is always, jet sweeps or screens or getting guys into space, right? I mean, just because a lot of people say it doesn't mean that's incorrect. But what do you see from what Notre Dame is in terms of their skill sets and what you've seen in the previous games to say this is where they need to be attacking more with what they have offensively?
You know what? I do think some of the perimeter screen game is something that they need to do more of, specifically with Chris Tyree, because that's how he should get more touches.
Yeah.
Because I think one thing with Tyree, when this year specifically, like obviously last year, you're looking at him running inside and a guy breathed on him and he was like tripping up. But that hasn't happened with him when he's had the ball, catching the ball in space this year. He's actually like typically broken the first tackle and then gone good yards after, right? So I think they need to do that kind of thing more with him, especially against Louisville, because they've given up big plays in the screen game in those settings. So, and also it's a way to, if teams are going to zone you the whole time, and it does seem to me, and I don't know if you see this too, Greg, but it does seem to me that Chris Tyree is, it's funny because there was the thing on the video that everybody talked about that was so great, right? And it was like, who's our best, zone, whatever. And it was like Rico Flores, right? And I think about that, and it is because Rico understands, like, I got to sit here, I got to get off here, and like all these little things, right? That it's like he has veteran savvy. He's a true freshman, right? And Tyree doesn't have that, at least not yet, right? But if you man up on Tyree, he could blow by you, right? That's the kind of thing. So, but teams aren't manning up on him as much, and he has to be, you have to have other ways to get him the ball when it's not happening like that. Because I just think he's a guy who just needs more touches. So I do think that is a way. The like perimeter screen game with him, definitely. Like some of the just perimeter screen game with Jeremiah Love, JD Price, some of that stuff, because that's how they were getting it earlier too. And they kind of went away from that a little bit. And some of it is because the speed of Ohio State and Duke, they're like secondary and they're like second and third level defenders. They run a lot of that stuff down, and I get it. So some of that you don't want to do, like schematically doesn't matchup wise, it doesn't fit. But this game, it is more of a fit, I think. So I would like to see some of that. That would be one thing for me. It's not all about just throwing deeper. It's like some of it, I think, whatever, right? They need to connect more and deep. I mean, they still haven't really connected other than the Tobias, where the guy just kind of bit hard on the
turned him loose.
Yeah. Has there been like a deep ball down the sidelines that I mean, they hit Rico Flores on one in that same game, right? Where it was like a beautiful throw by Hartman. They really haven't had anything else like that. Most of the other stuff is like kind of between the numbers type of stuff. So, and that's a game you could do that in this game, but it would be kind of nice if they could just have a guy win on the outside.
Would be good. To the point about Chris Tyree, 154 yards after catch this year. that's 60 more than the next closest player, which is Mitchell Evans with 94, right? So, and we've seen him, Mitchell Evans have a lot of catch and run. So Chris Tyree's easily their leader in yards after catch. So, it's been shown, like, give him the ball and he can do damage once he has the ball in his hands. There's something to be said, I think, too. And I've been very hard on Jared Parker this week. Just kind of a ton of confidence. But I think there is something to be said for the fact that you play teams like Ohio State and Duke. Like, they are very good at, and they're well coached. They have good football players. They're very good at taking away the thing that you want to do.
Yes.
And making you play in a way that makes you a little bit uncomfortable. Right. And that's a learning experience for Jared Parker, because that's one thing that you can't prepare for against the bad teams, because they can't take away anything.
Yeah.
And now
it's a great point.
You get into a game against Louisville where it's like, okay, maybe it is going to be a little bit easier to run some of the stuff you want, like the screens and the bubbles. Like you said, run bubble against, or one screen and bubble against Ohio State. Well, that's tough, right? Run toss plays and swing plays and all that. Well, they're built for that, right? Like, they're built to chase that stuff down and play on the perimeter with their safeties and their corners who are really physical. Louisville's not that way, right? Like, they're just trying to kind of hang in there and play solid, right? Instead of this, we're going to be aggressive and actually removing things that you want to do. So that's one where it's like, you could see just hey, the efficiency goes up, the success rate goes up, and that really helps, kind of jumpstart the offense there. Do you feel like it's time to see more Jeremiah Love, just period?
I think a little bit more, but he's been playing. They've used him a lot. That's one thing I think you have to give Jared Parker and Dalen McCall a ton of credit for, because he's shined, and he's clearly getting the second most touches at running back, right? I mean, would I want to see him used in more different ways? Yes, I would say that. But I don't even know if he needs technically more touches than he's been getting, a couple more, maybe a game.
I'm talking you want to see 10, double digits. That's kind of what.
For sure. Because what is he getting? 8 right now, right? I would like to see him get 10 to 12 touches a game.
So he has 31 carries through 6 games. So that's 5 a game. It's been higher the last few weeks. For sure.
It's gotten up, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of mean. It's in the last couple games or whatever, he has gotten more touches, and it's clearly been he's the guy that they get the ball to more, which I think is a good thing. And I think, I couldn't be more impressed with Jeremiah Love, man. He looks fantastic.
Seriously, it's when has it been oh, that's not good? He looks really. I mean, who is another freshman beyond Josh Adams, when it was just kind of straight line running? The little things that Jeremiah Love is doing. I mean, this is
tough running too.
Yeah, it's kind of undersold, honestly, not talked about enough, how good he looks kind of on a weekly basis. Like you said, tough running. That's something that we had questions about, big questions about going into the season. So that's been really eye-opening. So that's why I'm asking. It just does seem like it's time for kind of more, a true thunder and lightning situation with those guys. Yeah. Him and Estime both averaging identical 7.1 yards per carry. So
and what's crazy about that with Love is he hasn't had the 80-yard tutty that Estime had, and he didn't have the 50-yard yet. So he's just efficient, right? So I think that's the other thing, is that I think if they give him more, that's going to come, because dude is electric, if he gets a chance, right? So I'm all for keep on expanding the role. I think he is just probably the best freshman running back, it just as a straight runner, that I've seen in like the first half of a season for Notre Dame in quite some time. I would
Very
say.
long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks really good. Like every time you put him in the game, it's just he looks great. So I just think it's time. It's time for that. And if you have a highlight reel that you want to look great, Jamie, if you want a
I
headshot
knew this seg was coming.
that you want to look great, and it's like I want to put myself out there. I need a headshot, right? I have a highlight reel that I look good, but I need to look great. You need to hit up VSR Media, which is founded by Notre Dame Football pregame host and Emmy Award-winning anchor Vahid Sadwazadeh. VSR Media provides professional and cinematic video and photo. Whether you're looking for a collegiate or pro-level highlight reel, have a personal story to tell, or are aiming to diversify and grow your business, VSR Media specializes in short and long-form video storytelling, social media management, and website design. VSR Media also captures professional headshots, senior, and sports photos. Contact them at vsrmediacompany.com. Mention Irish Sports Daily to receive 20% off your first project. More savings, Jamie. More savings. Visit them online or give them a call at 574-800-9106. Jack Plummer, again, he's living the life that Phil Dracovic wishes he could live in playing Notre Dame 3 times like that, right? Like this is his third crack at Notre Dame. First at Purdue, he actually got pulled for Aiden O'Connell, which Aiden O'Connell maybe should have been starting for the Purdue football team prior to that.
Very good after. Yeah.
Very good after. He started a game for the Raiders this last week. And then on to Cal, started against Notre Dame against Cal last year. Notre Dame won that game 24-17, and now he's with Louisville, back with Jeff Brom. So what do you think, Jamie? Third time's a charm? Is it time for Jack Plummer, or is it just going to be too much for him?
Third time will not be the charm for Jack Plummer. I'm not a big Jack Plummer guy. I've seen enough. He's not that dude. He's not that dude. He, has above average arm talent. He throws a nice deep ball. He's a guy, when you make it one read easy, he's going to deliver it there with no pressure. He's going to be good. Any kind of pressure, he's like, one thing, he runs way more than because I don't know if he got like spurred by that Cal game that last year, but ever since then, I swear he is like run way more. So he's like a guy who looks to run way more, and they'll call like some zone read stuff where he'll keep it. So he's not a bad athlete, and he will kind of go to escape, but he's not like the best at escaping. It's just, if it's there, he'll take it, he'll take it. But also, if he's like got pressure, I mean, he's the guy who's like, I'm trying to like make this not a sack, so I'm trying to throw it away, but I'm also might just throw it right to you. And that happens with him, right? He's got 6 picks on the year. So not great. He's the guy that, even though when a lot of times too, where you'll see like with Sam Hartman, where they're calling like a deep shot play and Sam eats it. And then he's like, I'm going to scramble here, or I got to throw this away.
Yeah.
He throws it. And it's like 4 of those have been picked this year, right? So that's something there. Brendan mentioned, he's not good versus the blitz. He's not good versus the blitz. He's like minus 18% completion percentage versus the blitz, right? He's minus like 2.1 YPA, right? Yards per attempt against the blitz. So that's part of it, right? That's part of it. He doesn't handle that well. Teams with a good defense who've blitzed them, he's had issues. And part of that is they don't got great protection either, right? Like they've got the O-line is average at best, is the way that I would put it. A lot of transfers, guys who have played places, but I wouldn't say any of these guys are going to be NFL guys. It's, probably one of the weaker offensive lines Notre Dame has played this year. So Plummer can, a lot of the stuff is they can make plays. He's got playmakers. So if they get to the ball to these playmakers, Jamari Thrash, who's a transfer from Georgia State, this guy's average over 20 yards a catch. He's been big in every game except for the last game against NC State, where they were able to shut him down. Al Golden, traditionally great against these top receivers and really like scheming them out of it and saying, hey, get the other guys to beat you. But they have other guys too, who's fast. Kevin Coleman was a, very highly recruited guy, 4-star recruit. Notre Dame offered him. He went to Jackson State with Dion. Then he transferred back to Louisville. I believe he's originally from the St. Louis area. He's a guy who was like a top 100 type kid. He's explosive guy. He can make big plays. They have other guys. Chris Bell isn't really a good traditional receiver, but he's like big dude, 6'2", 225, chuck a jump ball to him and he can win it, right? And he's done some of that, right? So they have those guys that they can target down the field. Thrash is awesome after the catch. He's a big time player after the catch. So you got to be able to tackle him well. And then they got Jawar Jordan, who's the running back, who's got 3 touchdowns over 70 yards this year. He literally, if you got a big crease, so there's that play against Duke where Riley Mills gets reached. They give up the 34-yard thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's probably a touchdown against him, right? Because he's got that kind of speed. He ran a 4.48 in high school, right? So the dude can run, but he's not a tackle breaker. So if you win up front and you're doing everything you're supposed to do up front, he's going to have the kind of game that he had against NC State. So if you put it on Jack Plummer to play kind of perfect, it's not happening. It's just, he hasn't shown that. And if Notre Dame is able to pressure like they did against Duke, if they're able to stop them on early downs, and that's going to be key, right? Because that's where they love to do play action. That's where they, first and long, second and long, play action, right? Yeah, or Jawar Jordan. That's what they're thinking. And they scheme up, and Braum is a really, really good play caller. But against NC State, what they had problems is they couldn't run the ball. So it's like you can't really set up a lot of stuff when you're doing that. So they're like running play action where it's like no one's running open because it's like you kind of know that it's going to be a pass here because you're getting your ass kicked up front. Excuse my language. But yeah. Like Plummer's a guy who needs everything around him to work. And I don't think that they're going to have all that kind of stuff happen against Notre Dame. So I do not like him in this matchup. Like I imagine it'll be pretty similar to his other games against Notre Dame. We're at Purdue and Cal. If those are the lowest pass efficiencies he had in both those seasons were against Notre Dame's defense, I think it's going to be similar.
So last year, when you look at what Notre Dame was able to do defensively to confuse him, like Notre Dame is not the type of team you want to play if you're struggling with pressure because A, they can pressure, and B, Notre Dame always finds a way to get pressure without having to actually blitz. They show blitz a lot, but they back out of it usually. They're usually not really compromised in the back, right? They usually have at least 6, if not outright 7 defending, but you never quite know who's coming. They generate pressure that way. I mean, that was why Duke had such a tough time because they didn't know where the pressure was coming from. They mixed coverages. So Riley Leonard was confused. He didn't know where to go with the ball. You posted a bunch of clips about that. I posted a bunch of clips about that. Like, it's just a very difficult defense to decipher. And for someone like Plummer, where it's like, I'm actually not gonna eat this. I'm going to throw it somewhere.
Yeah.
Like that's how you create problems. And that's where you throw the ball to the defense. And
so Brendan Armstrong throws 3 picks. That's how it happens.
Exactly. And it over and over again. He threw 3 picks. It could have been more than that, Yeah. And so that's kind of where you get into trouble against Notre Dame. And the other part is the thing with like Ben Morrison is it's like you kind of want to avoid him, but throwing at Cam Hart isn't anyone's like great gift either. Like there's just nothing available to the field. As much as Cam Hart's struggling in the running game and in coming up and support the run and tackling, like coverage wise, he's kind of having an all-time season just in terms of he's given up like 4 catches all year.
Yeah.
You're a starting corner and you've given up 4 catches in 6 games. Like there's just nothing available. I don't think that. I mean, I think that if Louisville gets thrashed into the slot against Harper, that could be something, because Harper is a good slot, but he's not like shut down slot. Like he's not going to, if he's going against good wide receivers, like they're going to get to him eventually, right? Just like Ohio State did. Duke couldn't because they're not as good. I mean, they got him on the one where he just got confused, but Duke doesn't have those kind of receivers. But I think Thrash is the kind of guy that could get them there. But just the way that Al Golden schemes things. And I think I view this game as, Louisville isn't explosive. I'm sorry, Duke isn't explosive the way Louisville is.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of similar in that the quarterback needs time. They don't have a great offensive line.
And Leonard is like
much more mobile.
And I mean, he threw the pick to Watts, but he didn't put the ball in danger much.
Yeah.
He just had to throw stuff away. You could tell the guy was just like, after every series, they went in his face and he was like, oh my God. Like he's just,
you don't know. There's no answers.
He was in the torture chamber, right? I just wanted to hit back on what you said about the slot too, because that is something to think about, because prior to the NC State game, they lined him up in the slot 10 times, 6 targets on the 10 times. So it's like they line him up in the slot. They want to get him the football. And against NC State, because they wanted to get him away from Aiden White, who's their top corner, and for the most part, he won the matchup against Thrash. And, he was good against Notre Dame too. I think people know he's like an all ACC corner. Thrash, they put him 10 times or 11 times 10 times in the slot against NC State. So it was 11 times in the first 4 games. So I think they're going to line him up in the slot a decent amount. And if you're doing that, Notre Dame doesn't need me to tell them that, whatever. I should hope that they're kind of tracking the same stuff too. I'm sure they are. And they know if he's in the slot, it's like alert. They're going to get the ball to Thrash. Like that's what they want, right? That's what they want a lot of the times.
And the other part too is like, Harper had a tough time against Ohio State because there's also the Marvin Harrison Jr. problem.
Yes.
And so like you have to divvy up resources to deal with him. As good as Ben Morrison is, like you do have to be more aware of him than you would be if it was just Emeka Egbuka in the slot, and you've got some just like run of the mill starting receivers on the other side, right? Like so Notre Dame can shade coverage to him. They can always put the robber to his side and basically bracket him that way. And make sure that he doesn't get over the top of them and they have eyes on him all the time. So, like we've really seen the utility of Al Golden in these games where some of the coverages they run are just really good and really thought out, and they're very organized back there. And it just it gives quarterbacks a very hard time in being able to decipher what exactly is going on. And against these lesser quarterbacks, I mean, Riley Leonard, like, I don't know how good Riley Leonard is, but all I know is I see people in like the NFL scouting world who are just like impressed by him. And if they can have him confused that way, like Jack Plummer's going to have a heck of a hard time. And going into the year, I thought Notre Dame's offense would make it very hard to kind of upset them because of the way that the efficiency that they can play with. I actually now think the defense makes it very hard to upset Notre Dame because it's just, that Duke hit that one explosive on the run play. And Ohio State hit that one explosive on the bust when they gave up the 40-yarder. And then they gave up the long touchdown run to Travion Henderson, which is something we could see in this game, right? Just like ball him up, and then they get the big explosive. Ohio State needs the entire clock to score 17 points.
Yeah.
Duke, 14 points. Like, the amount of points that are available against Notre Dame is just kind of not there. Like, I've been predicting, and someone kind of called it out on the board last week. Like, I gave Ohio State 24 points and I gave Duke 20 points. And someone was like, why do you keep predicting that? And my thought process is, well, teams can score points for kind of no good reason, like, oh, suddenly they have 17 or something. But I can't give Louisville that many points going in this game, because for whatever we can say about the offensive struggles, the defense has not shown it at all. They just have not shown any sort of letdown in any game beyond like some squirrely stuff against like NC State for a spell. That's really it. So it's just it's kind of hard to pick against, Notre Dame in kind of any game against a team like Louisville, who, how are they going to score points? Like, where are those points coming from if they don't come from explosives?
Yeah, I 100% think they need to have those explosives to get any points. I just really just kind of think that's what it is. And that's just kind of, it's not a recipe to win. It's not a recipe to win because if you're over relying on that, you're going to have a lot of 3 and outs. You're going to have a lot of like short drives. And then, that sets up your defense in a bad spot. And that's kind of why Notre Dame's defense was in a bad spot against Duke, because, people were like, man, well, they really like slowed down in the second half. It's like, well, Notre Dame ran 3 straight drives where they ran 11 plays. Like, that's not good. Like, that's, you let them have the ball that long and you're going to give stuff up because, you're going to wear down a bit because you've been on the field more. And that's just the thing. And Rajon asked about how did they only score 13 against NC State. They turned the ball over a lot. So that's something. NC State really is kind of like a bad matchup for them because, one, they could get pressure. They could beat them up front. They used Peyton Wilson in a different way where he rushed a lot. And that was a really good thing. But it's not that much different than how Notre Dame uses like Maris Leafau or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, and they could win. They basically were like, we think our secondary can match up with you outside. So we're just going to kick your butt up front and we're going to stop the run. And I don't think you can win. And they couldn't win enough outside. And that's kind of what it is, right? So they just didn't have, the same kind of success. So even if you look at what Louisville did in the second half, like, and this is what you got to give Braum credit for, is that he like had to go in his bag and he was like, okay, well, now we're going to run this reverse and we're going to do this and we're going to run this kind of like throwback screen and like a lot of the stuff. And even if you go back to the Georgia Tech game, they were struggling in that game. And like Plummer was just atrocious at the beginning of that game. And they had to do like all of a sudden to get back in the game, they had to like scheme some stuff up and they found some things that way. So that's the one thing where you kind of have to worry about is like, if you're going to stop them, if like, say Notre Dame has 3 straight drives, Louisville doesn't score. Well, the 4th drive or maybe the 3rd drive or whatever, like they're going to pull something here. They're trying something here. He's not someone who comes out and does the same thing over and over again because he's like, we can't win this way. So we got to do this. That's what he's good. He's a good problem solver. So yeah. And Rajon, yeah, it does translate to the ND defense. Notre Dame has a better defense than NC State. Their corners are better. Their secondary gives up less in terms of, big plays in the passing game. And just in general, I would say Notre Dame is like a better, more disciplined defense. So Notre Dame is a better defense. So unless Louisville plays that much better, I think they're going to struggle to score.
And it's a lesson in have more than 10 points, Braum goes into his bag and pulls out 13 points, and it's like, oh, that's the winner. Like, have more than 10 points, like
Brandon
so many people have asked.
After.
Oh, here's an interesting question. I'm going to just say no, but I'll ask.
No.
Could Notre Dame's offense score 45 on the Notre Dame defense?
No. No.
No way. No way.
Chance.
Yeah, because they're too good at corner. Honestly, Notre Dame's and this is why,
that's why they dominated them in camp.
Every report about like in camp, like they can't score, they can't do anything. This is why, because you would just completely dominate their wideouts, and they're good enough up front to limit them on the ground. It's straight up like first. I mean, Howard Cross against Pat Coogan and Zeke Correll, like he would win that matchup. Riley Mills could win the matchup against Spindler. Yeah, like they would have a very tough time. I mean, look, this is a good defense. I mean, and it's funny too, Jamie, because I feel like the last 2 years we were a lot higher on Notre Dame's defense going into the year, and they didn't perform as well, and we weren't as high this year. Maybe because of the last 2 years, like we were just tired of predicting it. It didn't happen, but this is what we've been kind of asking for. Just like they're top 10 in yards per play allowed. Like they're tied for 9th nationally. They're, I think, 4th in passing efficiency defense. They're definitely top 10 in passing efficiency defense.
They're third. Yeah.
They're third. Yeah. So I mean, in 2023, you're third in passing efficiency defense. Like they're giving up like less than 150 yards passing per game.
Yeah.
Which like that's a counting stat, but it's 2023. And I know they played Navy, but they also played Ohio State. I mean, it's just straight up like a very, very good defense. It'll be interesting in a couple of weeks. Obviously don't want to jump ahead, but that'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. All right, Jamie, let's do predictions. Where are you at? I have a number in my mind.
I already sent my prediction to Mike.
Good for you. Mike doesn't have to text him.
Yeah. I did it late at night though, so that's why he didn't text over, because I know if I ever send mine early, then he sends the immediate.
Yeah.
Guys, get your predictions in or whatever, because that reminds, because he probably forgets too.
Right.
I say 38-20 Notre Dame, and 20 I'm gonna give Louisville. It's kind of what you were saying before. You can kind of fall into 20. And the thing is too, is like, I do think that they'll probably have like an explosive touchdown in this game. Like they just got guys where like, there'll be something where, they scheme something up where Jawar Jordan gets like matched up against JD Bertrand in coverage or something. And then it's to the house or something like that could easily happen. I think that could happen. I think, they could get like enough like 20 yards to 30 yard plays to get into the red zone, and they have a better kicker than Duke. So, I think they can make field goals, and then but I think Notre Dame is going to be up on them, and I'm guessing it's going to be maybe a garbage time touchdown for them near the end or something. So that's how I got to 20 there. And then the 38, I just think that the defense against any kind of like offense with a pulse, they've struggled. And and they've given up a ton of big plays through the air. There were some big holes against Georgia Tech when they were kind of running the football. I don't think that the defense is that great. I even think where they are, like they're like 42nd in DF plus, the combined FEI and SP plus. I think that's overrating them. Like I don't think they're that good. So I think they're kind of closer to, I would put them more like 60-ish. It's a pretty average defense. And then the stuff that they do bad, you can take advantage of. So that's how I got to 38. And you know what? I also think that there's probably going to be like a defensive touchdown or something in this game because I think Plummer is going to turn the ball over.
Yeah. I'm going to go 31-13. I mean, same margin of victory. One less touchdown for each team. I need to see it from the offense again. That they need to make me a believer again, because I'm kind of down on that, and we'll see how it goes. And I don't want to pick 20 points against this defense. No one, I mean, the only team to score that was NC State, and that was garbage time. And I don't think they'll have 17, going into garbage time. So I'm going to say 31-13. I mean, to me, it's a pretty big game for Jared Parker in terms of, all the caveats I threw out there, like about, Duke and Ohio State and what they can take away, and that being a learning experience and stuff. Like, that sounds great, but I want to see that happen, right? I want to see actually, like, you can learn from what happened, and you can. Oh, look at Gau's on an airplane. 42-10, Goss says. So Gau's here on an airplane watching the show. 42-10. All right, we'll mark it. We'll note it in the predictions post, Jamie. We'll note Gau's prediction. Yeah. So I got to see it from Jared Parker. I just do. I need him to come up with some stuff. Come up with some good third down, some good third down plays. Design some explosives. Put the defense in conflict. Make them make some poor decisions, and go from there. So yeah, that's going to do it, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time catching us, and if you liked what you heard, please subscribe to the show. Please like this show. Hit the like button right now. Hit the notification bell so you know where we're going live. We'll be back after the game, right after the game with Jamie, at least, if not Mike Frank. So you're going to want to check us out in our post-game instant reaction show. Also, Sunday, we have the morning after recap that I'll be doing, talking stats and storylines and, going over everything after sleeping on it. So have a good weekend, everybody. Enjoy the game, and we will talk to you on Saturday. Keep hitting and hustling.